We always believed we would see it coming, that when the end approached it would be dramatic and obvious. A rogue planet, an asteroid, a blinding explosion in the sky. We thought we would have time to prepare, but we were wrong, disastrously wrong. Because death was already circling us, silently, patiently, hidden behind the veil of our ignorance. It started 6 months ago. Was part of a classified research division at the Cerro Tololo Observatory in Chile, one of the few places left on Earth with the sensitivity to detect minute gravitational fluctuations. We were tracking dark matter signatures, a project that was supposed to take decades, if not centuries, to yield anything concrete. And then we saw it, not with a telescope, not with an infrared scan. We felt it. Stars on the outer edge of the Ophiuchus constellation were behaving strangely, orbiting nothing, warping light around an empty patch of sky. We ran the calculations 100 times, and every time the result was the same. A mass the size of a black hole moving faster than anything we had ever recorded. At first, we thought it was just passing through, a cosmic bullet, slicing silently across the galaxy. But the velocity didn't match, neither did the trajectory, because it wasn't moving randomly, it was orbiting, not some distant star, not the center of a far-off galaxy, us, Earth. This thing, whatever it was, had been trapped in the gravitational web of our solar system for thousands of years, maybe longer, invisible, undetected, slowly spiraling closer with every cycle, and now it was accelerating. I remember sitting there, staring at the numbers, the data blinking back at me, thinking, this isn't real. But it was. And what terrified me most wasn't just its existence. It was how perfectly it had hidden itself. The black hole was small, relatively speaking, about 3 times the mass of our sun, compressed into a sphere no bigger than a city. Tiny, compared to the monsters at the center of galaxies, but deadly beyond imagination. It lurked beyond Neptune's orbit, slipping through the Kuiper belt like a ghost, disrupting comets and asteroids without us ever noticing. Until now, until the pull became too strong, until the disturbances in the outer planets' orbits became undeniable. The press never heard about it. The governments did, but they chose silence. Panic, after all, is its own kind of catastrophe. Instead, secret protocols were activated, evacuation bunkers prepared, seed vaults reinforced, space missions quietly accelerated, as if any of it would matter. Because no bunker can hide you from a black hole, no vault can survive the collapse of space-time. And now, watching the latest readings, I realize the truth. We're not facing an impact, we're not facing an explosion. We're facing erasure, not just of humanity, not just of Earth, of memory, of meaning, of everything we ever were, all swallowed into a singularity we never even knew was coming. A silent predator, a cosmic hunter, and its mouth is opening wider every second. At first, the changes were so subtle, no one noticed. A few navigational errors in deep space missions, small, almost unmeasurable shifts in satellite orbits. Tides, behaving strangely as if the moon's influence was weakened. Then came the nights when the stars didn't look right. People posted about it on forums, astronomers, backyard hobbyists, even random skywatchers. Constellations slightly off, angles that didn't match star charts. A feeling. Impossible. To prove that something was pulling at the sky itself. The official channels blamed atmospheric distortion, weather balloons, faulty GPS recalibrations, anything to avoid the truth. But underground, in encrypted networks, the real scientists, the ones still free to speak, were screaming. The numbers were changing too fast. The black hole wasn't just orbiting, it was spiraling in, accelerating beyond anything predicted. The gravity distortion was already touching us. Not enough to rip us apart yet, but enough to fray the edges, enough to make the world begin to crack. The oceans were the first to betray us. Tidal waves with no earthquake triggers. Currents shifting unpredictably. Strange. Riptides forming in places that had been calm for centuries. Inland, things got worse. Compass needles spun aimlessly. Birds migrated at the wrong times. Animals fled forests without cause, as if they could feel the invisible hand reaching out from the dark, trying to snatch the earth from under its own sun. People, too, began to feel it. Headaches, hallucinations, vertigo so intense it dropped them to their knees in the middle of the street. Hospitals overflowed with patients complaining of an unbearable pressure in their skulls, like their brains were trying to escape the confines of time itself. And then the glitches started, not in the machines, in reality. Moments looping without warning. A cup falling from a table, shattering, repairing itself, shattering again. Children claiming to have seen copies of their parents walking the halls at night, exact duplicates, smiling wrong, moving wrong, buildings casting shadows in directions no sun could ever reach. We had always assumed a black hole would destroy us through raw force, a tidal disruption event, an obliteration. But what we didn't realize was that proximity alone was enough to begin unraveling the thin, fragile fabric of space and time around our world. Earth wasn't falling into the black hole. Earth was being rewritten by its gravity. Reality was becoming unstable, and at the center of it all, spiraling unseen through the outer reaches of our solar system, was a predator older than humanity itself, a singularity birthed in the death of an ancient sun. It didn't care, it didn't hate, it simply consumed. It was consumption. I watched as entire coastal towns disappeared from maps overnight, not evacuated, erased. Satellite images showed only empty beaches where cities had stood hours before. No ruins, no signs of struggle, just blankness as if they had been edited out of existence. And still the governments lied. Still the broadcasts showed smiling anchors, upbeat music, and promises of a stronger tomorrow. But tomorrow had already been eaten, swallowed up in an event horizon growing closer by the minute. I don't know how much time we have left, days, maybe weeks. But I know this. The first phase is almost complete. The Earth's orbit has shifted ever. So slightly. The seasons are collapsing into each other, winter burning into summer, spring falling into endless nights, and above it all, if you stare at the right patch of empty sky long enough, you can see it, not with your eyes, with your soul. A hollow place, a bruised scar against the stars, growing wider, a mouth opening, waiting. The warnings came too late. By the time the truth was leaked, by the time the world realized what was really happening, it was already irreversible. The black hole was no longer a distant threat. It was here, not visible in the sky, not glowing like a star, but present. A dark mass warping the very soul of our world. Gravity was no longer loyal to the Earth alone. Everything, oceans, cities, mountains, now answered to a second unseen master. The first major collapse happened in the Pacific. One morning, without warning, the ocean simply rose, not a tsunami, not a wall of water, a bulge, a massive, impossible dome of ocean swelling, upward toward the sky, as if the sea itself was trying to escape. Earth's gravity. It hovered for 3 minutes, 3 minutes where satellites captured footage that defied physics, where every compass on the planet spun uselessly, where birds fell from the sky like black rain. Then the bulge collapsed, entire. Island chains vanished in seconds. The shockwave tore across the coasts of continents, swallowing cities whole. Millions were gone before they even understood what had happened, and it didn't stop there. The Earth itself began to tear apart. Rivers reversed course, flowing uphill, forests twisted into spirals of wood and flesh. Buildings, warped, not crushed, but stretched, like reflections in a broken mirror. Time lost meaning. In some places, entire weeks passed in the span of minutes. In others, people found themselves trapped in endless loops, living the same hour over and over, watching loved ones die and die and die again. Governments collapsed overnight. What good were laws when causality itself was bleeding? New religions sprang up in the chaos, worshippers of the black void in the sky, chanting to it, begging for mercy, offering sacrifices. But the black hole didn't listen. It couldn't. It wasn't a god. It was a wound, and the wound was spreading. Magnetic poles flipped 3 times in a single day. The Earth's rotation staggered, shuddered, slowed. The sun itself began to look wrong. It hung lower in the sky, bloated and bleeding strange colors, like it was being dragged along by the black, Hall's invisible hand. And still there was hope, foolish, desperate hope. Teams of scientists around the world worked feverishly to devise solutions, massive thrusters to push Earth away, artificial wormholes to create a buffer zone. But it was like trying to steer a paper boat in a hurricane. Every plan failed before it could even be tested, because the laws of physics they were trying to use no longer existed. I watched as continents split open, as cities vanished between blinks of an eye, as people dissolved into clouds of dust and memory. Reality became liquid. Dreams and nightmares spilled into the waking world. In the streets, monsters walked, not from another world, but from our own collective unconscious, bleeding through the cracks of a dying reality, and in the center of it all, the singularity. Patient, silent, immovable, orbiting closer. I realized something then. The black hole wasn't hunting us. It wasn't chasing us. It had always been there, waiting like a noose slowly tightening around a neck that didn't even know it was in danger. We were the ones who had orbited into its path, a cosmic accident, a quiet, inevitable doom. And now, as the last days stretch and twist into shapes no clock can measure, I understand the final, brutal truth. There is no escaping the pull. There is no winning. There is only falling. Falling forever into a darkness so vast that not even memory will survive. I don't know if anyone will hear this. Maybe the signal will be lost in the maelstrom. Maybe the last fragments of my voice will be stretched into infinity, like everything else. But I have to try. I have to leave something behind. Even if no one is left to remember, the sky is gone now, not dark, not stormy. Gone. Where once there were clouds and stars and the soft light of distant galaxies, now there is only a yawning absence, a tear in the fabric of everything, a blackness so pure it devours thought itself. It is the event horizon, the point of no return, the final threshold between existence and whatever lies beyond. We are crossing it now, slowly, inevitably. Earth, our fragile island of life, is being stretched. The ground beneath my feet feels wrong, soft, as if the molecules themselves are being unraveled. Buildings no longer crumble. They melt, twisting into impossible shapes, spiraling upward like desperate prayers toward a silent God. The oceans have risen into the sky, forming frozen rivers that reach toward the void like the arms of drowning giants. Time itself has shattered. There is no before, no after, only now. Repeating and collapsing and bleeding into itself. I see flashes, my childhood bedroom, the birth of the sun, the fall of empires that never existed, all happening at once, all crumbling into nothing. The people, the few who are left, don't scream anymore. They simply fade, first their memories, then their names, then their forms, until they are nothing but echoes, drifting into the singularity. I don't know how I'm still here. Maybe I'm already gone, and this is just the last flicker of a dying mind refusing to surrender. Or maybe, just maybe, the black hole is letting me see, letting me understand. Because in this final moment, beyond fear, beyond pain, beyond even identity, I see the truth. The black hole isn't death, it isn't destruction, it's transformation, a gateway, a rebirth. On the other side, and if such a thing exists, lies something we can't comprehend, something no living mind was ever meant to see. Not heaven, not hell, something else, something pure, something final. And now, standing at the broken edge of the world, watching cities fold like paper into the endless dark, I have only one thought left. We were here. We lived. We dared. We were small, so unbearably small, but for a moment, for a blink of cosmic time, and we shined, we built, we loved, we reached for the stars. And though the stars are falling now, swallowed into the abyss, I believe, I know that something of us will remain. Maybe just a whisper, maybe just a vibration in the endless dark, but something that says, here, in this corner of the universe, life existed, and it fought, and it dreamed. And it mattered, even as it was swallowed whole by the dark.